Okay, so let me tell you about Dan Kennedy.
Dan Kennedy.
Dan Kennedy.
Dan Kennedy.
Dan Kennedy. Dan Kennedy.
Hi, this is Dan Kennedy. Regardless of your business, online, offline, or both.
I met Dan Kennedy early in my entrepreneurial journey. I was in college, actually. I remember I was trying to figure out how to do postcard marketing, and I came across this, weird old guy named Dan Kennedy. And I just remember at the time thinking, this guy has no idea what the internet is. When I got into it, I realized that what Dan was great at was all the things that actually mattered, and that it was this idea of the medium through which the marketing is done, whether it was direct mail, or heck, the Yellow Pages, or the internet. That's not the thing that actually matters. It's the message.
So I'll quickly show you. Here's a lead generation ad.
I don't think there's anybody ever, period, that has had a bigger impact in the field of direct response, advertising and marketing than Dan Kennedy.
His direct response marketing approach is what has spawned all of these companies, events, masterminds, you name it. He is a marketing master who has taught an untold number of experts that are now leading it.
I learned opportunity marketing through Dan. I learned replacement is always better than improvement. I learned a good pair of boots are always better than a good pair of shoes. They're not really lessons, they're kind of laws that you live by.
So this is an ad that ran in comic books.
He's written 30-some books, and I have all of them. Any information is as valuable in today's world as it was when he wrote the books.
That's why you want to look at the gold in the old.
It is timeless. You'll be able to get useful things that will serve you throughout life, as opposed to learning what color a button should be or how to run a particular thing in Facebook that's only good until everybody knows what that tactic is.
So the first time I heard who Dan was, or even heard his name mentioned, was actually from Russell Brunson. So I bought all the books that I could find on Amazon, and I sat down and I read all of them. And then I went and bought the courses off the GKIC website and went through probably about half of those. And that is what gave birth to the model that became Gym Launch, which ended up doing $28 million in revenue and $17 million in profit in its first full complete calendar year.
I would say that literally every dollar that I've given to Dan Kennedy, and I mean this 100% sincerely, has returned back to me 10,000-fold.
That's advertising.
We're sitting right now in one of the biggest marketing events in the world that we own. I don't think we would have ever pulled it off without the advice of Dan Kennedy.
The legend of Dan Kennedy should be ignored at your own peril.
So this is where we go for the growth.
His ripple effect touches people who don't even know his name.
Dan's work is timeless, forever.
You will never, ever meet a better teacher.
I have no one to thank for that besides Dan.
If you look at all of the greatest marketers that you see today, in every industry, every market, and you start tracing back, all roads literally lead back to Dan. He was the beginning. He was where all this stuff started from. The world as we know it was changed because Dan Kennedy became obsessed with marketing.
Welcome to the stage, your host, Marty Fort.
Well, good morning, everybody. Hope you're having a great day yesterday for day one. Let me see a thumbs up at home. All you Zoomers, good morning. Put your hands up. You ready for a big day two? Well, I am too. So if you weren't here yesterday, my name is Marty Fort. I'm a long-time Dan Kennedy client and brick and mortar businesses. So I do business to consumer. Also, my biggest business is info marketing, which is B2B, so business to business. But big advice for the day. You're going to have me for 40 minutes, and then we're going to bring up two very special guests to help you learn even more. Then we're going to do our hour Zoom, which is fantastic. So be sure to get your pens ready. This is going to be very content heavy. We prepared a lot of information for you. So everybody home, get your pens out, okay? And let's get down to it. Our focus for today is, yesterday we talked about the who. We talked about your ideal customer. We talked about defining your avatar, and it really starts with who are you going after and really drilling deep on that, okay? So after you've identified the who and who you're going to market to, that's a huge step to being where you want to be and increasing your sales and doing what you want to accomplish. But then the second piece, and our focus for today, is your magnetic marketing message. So go and put that down. Today is all about the message. So once you've identified who you want to sell to, who you want to work with, who you want to have as a client, what are you going to say to them to get them in. And so I want to kind of go over a lot of stuff with that to help you with some very specific examples. But in case you weren't there yesterday, I also want to just give a shout out and hey, everybody in the chat. Yep, and I like that. Thank you, Justin. Let's do this. Go, Marty. All right, buddy. I have no idea who Justin is, but that's the kind of energy we had. The chat was packed with responses, a lot of engagement. So the VIP chat, good to see all you guys again, and can't wait to see you on the Zoom today. The Q&A yesterday was awesome, and we're doing Q&A again today. So what that means is we're going to be answering your questions live in real time with myself, with Stephen Oliver, with Dr. Bonnie Jewell, and it's going to be great. So really get a chance. It's like a mini masterclass, mini mastermind, so be sure to take advantage of that today. A lot of businesses yesterday, in my opinion, were changed in one day by the clarity they got, the focus they got, and it was just awesome. So let's dig in. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking, and all these other Kennedy students with me today have seen this as well. People always like to think, but my business is different. I do X or I do this, so magnetic marketing won't work for me no matter how good it is. Dan always tells the Chinese restaurant story. And what that means is that he'll go to, a client will come to him. They own a Chinese restaurant in Akron, Ohio, and they say, well, magnetic marketing can't work because we're a Chinese restaurant, and what in the world do you know about Chinese food or restaurants? But it's actually the opposite. It's exactly why you had to have the right message, because Chinese restaurants, as is the restaurant industry, is a very crowded market. So you've got to have the right message. We're going to help you craft that message. So it's actually the opposite. It works for everything and everyone. This is a story I like to tell, which is a trumpet studio owner. I had years ago, a client came to me, prospect. He said, well, I'm interested in your program, but I'm a trumpet studio, so how in the world are you going to help me? Well, again, it's totally the opposite. I'm the one that can help him find the trumpet players, find the people to refer the trumpet players, give the message to the parent. Do you follow me? So you got to think that your business is not different. We're all the same. Some other examples, whether it's a church. Well, what do churches need? They need new members. Well, if you're going to do that, you got to have the right message for that church. Is it a contemporary church? Is it a traditional church? Okay, so after you find out who you want to come to the church, what's the message to get them there? Another one, because I really want to broaden your mind on how this can work for any and all of you on the Zoom and the chat today. Softball team, that's a silly example, but I really want to stretch it. Sports, if you're running a softball team, you got to have players, okay? And you've got to reach them with the right message. The message isn't just, well, softball is Thursday nights at 6. That's not a message. The message is, if you're nervous about playing sports, but you want to do something fun and athletic, come join our team, and you'll have an amazing time and make new friends. That's a message, okay? Yesterday, we talked about this one, cybersecurity company. That one, to me, is in a lot of ways is easy because, that owner of those kind of companies, well, they need clients with a lot of data and the ability to pay to secure it, okay, to be reached with the right message. So, another one we talked about yesterday, therapist or counseling service who serve a specific niche, specific age, and you've got to definitely reach them with the right message. And it kind of goes on and on and on. But my big point this morning for you all to take to heart, if you're going to make, and you will make magnetic marketing work, is we are all the same. And that's the big thing. That's why we brought so many diverse guests in. Russell's going to be coming in Friday to do, that's going to be amazing. And as you know, ClickFunnels serves almost every industry, and in magnetic marketing for 40 years has served almost every industry, okay? So this is a big one from yesterday. So everybody should know this. All right, raise your hand at home if you remember what this is. You guys got this? That's a big one, okay? So there's our triangle for the 3 M's, for the message, the market, and the media for our attraction system. So please take it again, guys. Again, we'll stress message, market, media, okay? Today we're going to be talking about, again, message. Now remember, a lot of you are also saying, well, okay, you get now that your business is not different, but you're probably thinking that you are different and you've got challenges. Listen, I've got challenges with property taxes, attorneys, clients, family members, everything. I got a wife, 4 dogs, 7-year-old daughter. But the thing I do not have, and most of you are the same, or if you do have it, you probably wish you didn't because of what they teach in college, is I don't have a degree in marketing, okay? I do have a master's degree in music and guitar, but who cares? That's not what made the business thrive, and that's actually why I was starving and not doing well, because I needed to get it together. Because in my college, as in most, there were no marketing classes, and bigger than that, guys, even if there were marketing classes that I could have taken, they weren't magnetic marketing. Because another thing that's very, very important, guys, is you can only get this unique system here. You can only get magnetic marketing here, okay? So in a lot of ways, again, look at me. I was voted the least likely to succeed. I mean, again, on my Social Security statement, I'll never forget $19,000 one year, and that's what I had, okay? But ask yourself this, and there's me on the left with the long hair. You guys saw that again yesterday. There's me now. If I can go again from $20,000 a year, 19, whatever, to grossing almost $4 million, how much more can you do? And so many of you, I'm a musician with no extensive previous training or help, but I believed magnetic marketing would work. I really believed that. And I was also somebody that went all in and said, you know what? Just like the amazing Zoom we had yesterday with the VIPs, they went all in as well, and I got to work, and I really embraced the system, and I actually used the system. Also remember, I got 80 people working for me today, staff, all these things going on. But again, I made, and all the speakers as well, and everybody you're going to hear from, and everybody that's been successful with magnetic marketing has made their own UMM, okay? Which is your ultimate marketing machine, which is all about systems. So if I can do this, anybody can. And again, remember, I'm in a low-price kids service niche. I'm not selling cosmetic dentistry. I'm not selling Porsches. I'm not selling $100,000 coaching programs, maybe one day. But I'm in a low price. Well, the average price for what we do is $100 per month. So think about that for a second. I have a stat for you. We ran the numbers for last year. Last year in my schools, and we're going to hit over $1 million next year, we paid $938,000 to teachers. That's a lot of lessons, okay? So that's the power, guys, and there's your challenge, all right? It's too important, it's too vital to do this for what it can do for your life and everything else. So let's get down to it. I became a magnetic marketer, you can too. It's so much easier than you think. And the big thing for me that I think about a lot is it took me from having to live a life of checking my ATM to just having, and I do it every morning, I check my online banking, and now we have cash flow, we're able to expand, acquire commercial property, do all the things you want to do. So yesterday we started with the most important part. You guys remember that at home what that is? Identifying the what? Identifying the who. Who are we going after, okay? And one of the questions on day homework 1 was, what are your dream clients' biggest 3 frustrations? Let's work a little more on this. Do you know them? And if you don't, you need to find out, because that's crucial for today to craft the perfect message is, what they're thinking about, okay? So here's a writer-downer, okay? If you identify your who, everything gets easier. If you identify your who, everything gets easier, okay? I said it, all right, so here we go. And for me, it got easier by fixing my message, which again is the focus of the training, all right? And then not only that, but then going to the market, okay, which we're going to talk about tomorrow in day 3, with that carefully crafted message. So again, my income's growing year by year. If you still don't believe me, here's some other examples I'm going to show you right now. We're going to show a really good video of Dan to help take this further. But I want to really stress to you, who else has done this? You've heard me, you've heard our guest speakers, and that's all great. But let's look at some other examples. So you're going to see on Thursday Ben Glass. Now, Ben Glass is a long time Kennedy student. He's an attorney. He's an info marketer. 2 coaches and attorneys, and is one of our speakers for the challenge. You're going to get to spend some time with him while he'll be zooming in on Thursday, okay? This is a big one. Dr. Dustin Burleson, orthodontist, info marketer, and coach for orthodontists. Multi-millionaire business as far as cash flow in the millions they're doing, and a great example of what happens more in the health realm, which Dr. Bonnie Jewell, which is next up here with my next slide, and she's with us today. And she does natural health and wellness, a chiropractor, and she's going to be just like a lot of you are doing health again. Raise your hands, health guys. We got any docs on the Zoom today? How about attorneys? Okay, how about ClickFunnelers? All right, there we go. Okay, but because it applies to you all right? Now, Jill Wolforth, I want to go to sports. That's why I brought in the softball thing. I'm just trying to really stretch your mindset on how everybody can do this. And if we can break it down to sports, they're training at the Texas Baseball Ranch people that want to then go on to become major league players, get drafted by the Red Sox, whatever. And Jill does amazing, and a good friend of mine. And then, of course, Robin Robbins, she's just, I told her when I saw her last at an event, she is just a rock star in so many ways. She's an IT marketing consultant. I know we got a lot of cybersecurity guys and girls. Raise your hand. IT, computers, software, all that. Yeah. So let's go right to the source. And we're going to show you a video from Dan Kennedy. In this clip, Dan breaks down for you how to craft your marketing message, your USP, and he uses Domino and Subway examples. And everybody knows Domino's and Subways of creating a unique marketing message for your target market. So enjoy this video from Dan Kennedy.
So another way to get to a great message is who is your business for? And get this, if it's for everybody, it's for nobody. It has to be about something, and it has to be for somebody. Finally, and this is only a partial list, you understand, but another thing that you will get to as part of a message, and it's a very important part of a message that you'll get to. And these are not born in a minute or a day, so some time will be required to ultimately get to a great one. But you will get to the answer to the single most important question anybody's going to ask you as long as you're in business. Here's the question. And if you don't jot anything else down, jot this down, take it home, put it on a 4x6 card, stick it up in front of you where you see it all the time. Because it's a useful question. It's a useful question to ask yourself every day. Why should I, your prospective customer, client, or patient, choose to do business with you versus any and every other option available to me, which includes doing nothing? Any and every other option available to me. Why should I? So Rob has to answer, why shouldn't I invest in stocks? Why shouldn't I invest in bonds? Why shouldn't I just go find the property on my own? There's a list of like 50 options if I want to own real estate. So why should I do business with you versus any and every other option available to me? When you have a great answer to this question as part of your marketing message, you have the golden key to the vault. Everything changes. It's an enormous accelerator, okay? Because your business is now about something, your business is for somebody, you have a message that sticks in people's minds that means something to them. The best example still of a great unique selling proposition of our time came from two orphans who were trying to work their way through college by having taken over a failing business on the edge of campus, which the plan was one would run it during the day, the other one run it at night. One go to college during the day, the other night they'd swap during semesters, they'd sleep on cots in the back room, they'd keep all the money. This is how they'd get through school. Shortly into this plan, the business is continuing to hemorrhage money. The one partner bailed out on the other, left, made one of the worst financial decisions of modern times. For his half of the business, he took their old pitted out Volkswagen Bug in trade and drove off into the sunset. The one who hung around determined to make it work came up with a USP. I think it's 8 words. Changed his business, his life, and his industry. It was fresh, hot pizza delivered in 30 minutes or less, guaranteed. Now that unique selling proposition was so powerful, it put dominoes on everybody's speed dial. Right? It caught him up. Took this college kid with this crummy, failing business, quickly put him on the fast track. Pretty soon, entrenched companies like Pizza Hut are trying to figure out what happened and are trying to catch him or buy him. Made him a wealthy, wealthy fellow. Great unique selling proposition. Analyze it just for a minute. Fresh, hot pizza delivered in 30 minutes or less, guaranteed. Well, first of all, what's really important to notice is there's no mention of good pizza. Doesn't say that. There's no mention of Mama's recipe from the old country. There's none of that. It says it's fresh and it's hot. It doesn't say it's good. See, there's truth in advertising because we all know there's better pizza, right? And if you call Domino's for a pizza, even today, you ain't calling them because it's the best pizza in 10 square miles around your house. You're calling them for one simple reason. They're going to get it there somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 minutes. That had to kind of get fuzzied a little bit because too many Domino's guys were driving over dogs and slow-moving people, and it's a legal problem. But now this USP grew out. This USP, let me tell you something else about this USP that'll help you find one. And it loops back to what we talked about before. This USP was market-driven. What I mean by market-driven. The original Domino's, and then the first few locations after that, were all located on the edge of college campuses. On college campuses, there are these things called dormitories. In them are condensed populations, so a lot of people who could eat stuff, all packed into a small geographic territory. A bunch of them smoke this funny stuff, which makes them real hungry for carbs and incapable of going out and getting them on their own. It's either speed dial or nothing, all right? So this was a market-driven, unique selling proposition. 30 minutes or less is a meaningful, specific. A guarantee is risk reversal. All marketing strategies, all Glazer-Kennedy strategies you'll get familiar with. When you have a great, unique selling proposition as part of your marketing message, you got the key to the vault. So this issue of message is an extremely important breakthrough.
Okay. But again, a lot of you are still thinking my business is different. So I put together a lot of stuff today to help you see different messages, understand bad message to good message, so you can really go home and craft your message to go to your dream customer, your avatar. So if your Apple Trouble has seed in your business, again, we're going to personally show you on the Q&A today. So don't miss the Zoom, and I'll talk about that in a little bit because we're going to go through examples. You're going to get your questions answered and hear from others as well. We're going to show people to, personally, their business is not different, how to succeed with their message. Remember, I used to be you. I thought my business was different too, but here is specifically how I use this amazing system. It's called, as he said earlier, and you want to write this down, so get your pens out. Here's your writer-downer, the unique selling proposition, which is your USP, okay? Now, so what in the world is a unique selling proposition, okay? The deal is you've got to make yourself the go-to person. You've got to make yourself the go-to person for your audience, for your market, and for your deliverables, okay? You need to be able to answer the single most important question that anybody will ever ask you about your product or your service or business, which is this, okay? Dan says, and he teaches, why should I choose you versus any and every other provider of the same product or service that you provide versus over other chiropractors, versus other karate studio owners, versus other attorneys, versus over salsa dancing, talk about that in a second, versus over whatever. So the USP is the solid foundation that you build a marketing message on, and if you don't have that, you're building on shifting sand. It's just going to be like quicksand, it's just going to sink. Now, it's also important to realize a USP is a positioning statement. It is not a marketing slogan, okay? And that's a big one. So with the goal to differentiate, so I've got a specific story from my schools, okay? I was on those. When I started my schools, remember, sort of by myself, answering the phone, cleaning the bathrooms, doing all the things, just me, and added a teacher. And one day I had a mom call and answer the phone, and she literally asked me this question, which at the time I thought was kind of bizarre because she was so direct. She finally just said, in a way I thought it was kind of lazy, but she was being honest, and she was being transparent on what was going through her brain, okay, which was, why should I choose you? I was like, well, and I had to really think about that. So you know what I mean? So that's what you want to start to put down. Your homework, your writer-downer is, okay, why should you? All you guys on the Zoom, all you guys in the chat, why should they choose you over your competition, okay? Now, you can't just outspend your competition by shouting louder. You have to have a smart and different message, okay? Now, also, raise your hand on the Zoom if you guys got staff. Who's got employees? Somebody working for you, assistant, where? Yeah, okay, good. So how many of you have maybe a sales force, sales team, working text, working emails, do a follow-up for you, whatever, help with that? Okay, well, I've got a huge sales force. So for those of you today, especially you that are doing brick and mortar, like the doc offices, like the karate studios, like the dance schools, like whoever, where there's foot traffic and you got customers coming in, this is a big one I want to give you today, guys, which is this. Your staff also has to be able to communicate your USPs on your behalf, okay? Now, remember, someone asked me yesterday if I do B2B. Well, actually, that's my biggest business is business-to-business coaching music school owners, okay? And what's not only important about me understanding how to make a USP and express it through the marketing message, what we're doing today, my staff being able to then do it on my behalf with the 3 locations I run, okay? The biggest part of my info business is I train music schools all around the world on how to get their staff to communicate their USPs, okay, on their behalf as well. So that's a key writer-downer and a key to making this whole thing work. And it goes back to the UMM of having a system. Have a system, guys. Hear me out. Here's a big writer-downer. Have a system, and if you already got one, make it even better, of your staff on your behalf being able to communicate, express your USPs to your market with your message, all right? So let's talk about the Guitar Shack story. This is a fictional story, kind of. I have another piece of advice for you guys and a tip for today or this week. Mystery shop your competitors. We do that with ours every 6 months. Call them up. First of all, if they answer the phone at all, that's a plus. Okay, people still do use the phone or they don't answer the text. or if they can text the business at all, okay? But mystery shop your competitors. And if you call Guitar Shack, this is how that call goes. Phone rings, Guitar Shack, Marty. Client says, yes, can you tell me about voice lessons? Well, I think there's a voice teacher here. I work in the guitar department. I don't really know. And if you will start to mystery shop those competitors, just by the fact you guys are on this challenge shows how much smarter you are, how much more dedicated you are, and now you just got to take those extra steps to go all in and actually do the stuff, okay? But that's what's happening right now at your competitors online and off. We had this yesterday came up. So for you dance studio people and the salsa dance person, I think his name was Marlon, I can't remember the name, but for the gentleman yesterday, this is how that call goes. First of all, they're not really answering it at all. So there's no USP because there's silence, okay? And that is not how we communicate and position ourselves, right? Especially with all the choreography we do, I'm sure at your doctor's office and all the stuff you're going to see throughout the week. Phone rings, salsa dance studio. Yes, I'd like to learn more. Me and my wife like to do lessons. Okay, well, listen, I'm really busy right now. I'm going to have to get your name and number, call you back. And so, again, you guys are the minority. You guys are the ones that are taking this seriously and, start mystery shopping them. You'll hear it. But you're going to do better than that. You're going to craft your USP. And let's kind of go into more of that, okay? So, again, this is a reiteration. He gave you the Domino's pizza example. This is in the Magnetic Marketing book, in the most incredible free gift ever. If you don't already have a copy, want one for free, get your book for free. As he said, hot pizza in 30 minutes or less, or it's free. Market, primarily college students with munchies. Media, TV, direct mail, all that kind of stuff. So let's now get into helping you really craft yours, okay? So this is where we get into how you make your own. And these are the ingredients of a powerful marketing message, okay? Now, the next one up, guys, this is a partial list, and there's going to be more in the homework training and all that. You go through the full 18. But this is a big place to start, that I can tell you that 90% of all marketing messages are missing or bungling at least 3 of these 5. They're 15 others, a total of 18, and most messages need to be fixed, okay? So again, this is how you construct that. You got the unique selling proposition. We already talked about that. We're going to talk more. You got value selling proposition. That's what value it brings. So if you go to the karate school, is it also going to help their confidence, their grades, their discipline? If you go to the chiropractor, are you going to feel better, be able to do things you used to not be able to do, be freer physically, that kind of stuff, and get your wellness, all right? The value selling proposition. Direct response offers, and this is a big one. So, and I'm not trying to steal Steve's thunder, but Steve and I are friends. It's very similar. So in our music lessons, we'll give an offer, hey, register, first lesson free, whatever. So we do a distinct direct response offer. Also risk reversal. You can do guarantees. And that depends on which industry you're in. If my InfoBiz, so for my B2B business, we have for 15 years, we're the only coaching program in my market, in the entire world in 15 years, that offers a 12-month money-back guarantee 100%. And I can do that, though, because then they trust me. And we are also the most expensive at what we do, okay? Direct response, talked about that. Call to action is a big one, and this is a mental hang-up that a lot of people have. Don't be afraid to say, take the next step. Or if you're not willing to say, take the next step, give them some kind of call to action, some kind of what we call a CTA. Write that down. The CTA is your call to action on what do we do next. So if we're going to the chiropractor, do we ring this number? Do we make an appointment? So often, Stephen, this happens to me all the time. People will call our school and say, well, do I have to know how to read music? No, beginners are welcome. That's the message I have to disseminate. They'll say to me, okay, well, do I have to apply to take piano? No, you don't have to apply. So you got to hold the customer's hands, and the call to action is the way to do that. Now, this one I want to pause on for 1 second, okay? Which is exactly why I'm about to bring up 2 awesome guest speakers for you. For your business, to get your message to your who. Proof is everything. Social proof of testimonials. We talked a lot about that yesterday in the VIP Zoom, with the VIP Zoom, which we're going to do later today. So the proof is everything of the testimonials of who's using it, who are they, how much do they love it, that kind of thing. So example in my business, here's a good example of a USP, okay? So let's pause on this for a second one. So here's a true USP. Good message to the market. Even though people have told you that you can't sing, we'll show you how to get on the stage, sing your favorite songs in a way that will lead to a standing ovation. But what's Guitar Shack saying? We got guitars, come get them. That's what they got. And we got lessons in the back, right? But compared to this Now, this is one that Dan has always taught, and it's a great one, and it's a legendary example by John Caples. Dan is very good about telling people the history of marketers and marketing. But the ad he made was the headline, "They laughed when I sat down at the piano, but when I started to play." And see, that's the psychology part of what your clients are thinking when you're drafting your message. Now, he knows the clients that he wants are mainly adults that feel embarrassed, that people are going to laugh at them if they want to play at a wedding or a cocktail party or whatever. So he's addressing that. Okay, yes, we understand you're nervous about performing in front of others. How many show of hands are nervous to speak in public? Nervous to play on stage? Now, come on now, you know what I mean? I mean, that's a lot of people. But he's saying, come to me, and we'll show you how to sit down and blow people's minds, all right? It's one of the most successful ads in history. Why? Because of the emotional triggers, okay? So if you have a brick and mortar business, you have to be able to trigger the emotions of your customers to build the right message to get them to choose you. Now, my brick and mortar examples. Here's another good writer downer, okay? What are the moms thinking about? What are the moms thinking about? Now I'm looking for moms ages 25 to 38 who are having children, okay? Could even be 22, whatever. And what are they thinking about? Well, is this going to be worth the money? Is this going to be a waste of time? Is it safe? I mean, our security protocols are enormous, and we always in those messages, because as I said earlier, and I kind of went through a little quickly, but I want to say it again, we not only have one USP, we have multiple USPs, multiple messages, but all going to the same goal of what I'm trying to do with you this morning, which is connect your message to your who, your message to your market, okay? Now, if you own an info business, and you guys are doing B2C, so we're talking about B2C, this is what my clients are thinking about. They're thinking about, I'm tired of being broke. I'm tired of teaching till 10 o'clock at night, never being able to see my wife, my kids. And I had a client one time, she said, the guy said, my wife left me and said, I don't want to be married to a guitar teacher. Now, I'm sure there was other issues at play. But that was the last jab she gave it to as she walked out the door, okay? But that's the things they're thinking about. And frankly, I thought about it as well, okay, when I'm getting older and older again. So I know what my info clients are thinking about. What's my point? For your message, for crafting this, you've got to do the same, guys, okay? If you're a ClickFunnels, this is a huge opportunity for you to improve your funnels with better messages, but going after their emotions, okay, to find out who they are in the funnel. And that's the whole reason Russell has bridged these two communities of ClickFunnels and magnetic marketing and taken over magnetic marketing. He's just doing a fantastic job. But you got to go right there with him and help and actually do it and now work on your message to improve your funnels, okay? Homework. What are your funnel clients thinking about? Don't do it backwards and say, well, our product is awesome and blah, 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 blah. What are they thinking about? Okay? That's going to help you so much, all right? So the other writer downer is, albeit online, email, social media, offline marketing, messaging is messaging. I don't care if it's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, direct mail. You go back to the Domino's thing. What does everybody get towards the weekends at their house in the mailbox? Well, you get the pizza coupons with offer, with call to action. Now, their call to actions are so good, you can even just do it on the app or text them. They'll bring the stuff over, okay? Now, again, if you want to have better ClickFunnels, you have to have better messaging. And magnetic marketing gives you the tools, okay, to truly master that art. Now, let's go through an example of a bad message made good. Here's a bad message. Come to our gym. We have the best equipment, best trainers, and are number one at what we do. Well, what's there? That's not really the message, okay? The problem is there's no emotion. There's no USP. There's no trigger. So let's now, and there's a lot of other missing elements, as we said. There's a total of 18 things that make this happen. Let's make this message good. You ready? Okay, everybody got the screen? Check this out, because this is going to kind of be your template to help you, okay? Now, what should have been said, if you're looking to get in shape and have failed in the past, we have a proven system that works fast, anyone can use, and very few gym owners understand. Now, what just happened there? They're looking to get in shape. Check. They failed in the past? Well, statistically, they have. Most people do. I mean, like, there's no six-pack on this stage, right? It's okay. But you go further, we have a proven system. Well, that's important. They have something that is proven to work for others, okay? That works fast. Well, they definitely want the speed. Anyone can use, that's helpful, and very few gym owners can understand. Well, I'll never forget, I called a gym one time, wanted to join up, And I was trying to explain to her, how much weight I want to lose. She's like, well, how much do you weigh? I'm like, what do you charge by the pound? What does that matter? No good sale there, right? You know what I mean? But if you get your message and it goes right to it, they say, yes, I want this, sign me up. So right now, this is what I need you to do. I need you all to go to magneticmarketingchallenge.com/day2. magneticmarketingchallenge.com/day2 for your homework. Now, and here's the big thing. So we got 2 amazing speakers coming up. I'm about to bring our first one up. They got 20 minutes each. But again, you got such a huge opportunity today that we're doing the VIP upgrade for free. It's a VIP upgrade for free. It's just awesome. And if you do that, you get to come work with us today for an hour. A lot of you get your questions answered. You get to hear other people get their questions answered and real specifics. And yesterday, I just loved the whole thing. It was awesome. So let's talk about how the VIP upgrade works. Number one, again, it's free if you do the VIP upgrade today, okay? Now, normally, it's $197. That's the normal price, all right? But again, you get the access to the special Zoom where myself, Stephen, Dr. Jewell, we're going to spend 1 hour with you. The MC is going to bring questions, and we're going to go through them and pull some, and you're going to get the questions answered, hear from others. It's just awesome. And we get this comment all of the time that is the most valuable benefit of the VIP, and I 1,000% agree, especially since I did it yesterday, and I'm looking forward to doing that again tomorrow. So, again, there's so much stuff we're throwing at you guys. This is a lot of information. We understand that, and we're breaking it down as tightly as we can. But, of course, it's convenient to get the lifetime replays of the challenge. If you upgrade to VIP, lifetime replays of the challenge. Now, this is a big one, this box right here. You're going to get the most incredible free gift ever, okay, which has got all this amazing stuff in it. It's a huge box. Now, it's got a lot of stuff in it and some bonuses. One of the things you're going to get is Dan's Magnetic Marketing book, which all the stuff I'm pulling from, guys, is right here. So go ahead and get your book for free, okay? It's a fantastic resource. It's a vital resource. The next thing you're going to get, which is huge, is the 74 funnel swipe file book, okay? Now just look how big this thing is. Amazing, amazing content, great stuff. And again, free as part of the gift. We call this gift, the MIFKI, most incredible free gift ever. Now, you're also going to get some bonuses, online stuff. There are 3 of them. Renegade Time Management, Midas Touch Marketing and Selling, and one of Dan's courses that is one of my favorite, really made me who I am today, which is Dan Kennedy's Brass Balls Factor course, okay? You're also going to get 30 days of the No BS newsletter, which all the speakers you've seen so far. We subscribe to this, all kinds of great content coming to you every month, help you build your community, help you see what others are doing to help you be even more successful, okay? So, again, it's normally $197, but I want you to get it today for free. And again, this is how this works. Now, you got 2 options. The 2 options are, you can go ahead and pay down, and for $197, you get the VIP, and that's it. But if you take it for free, you get everything in the VIP package, and here's what that means. 30 days from now, if you love the newsletter, it's going to keep coming. You'll get billed $97 per month. But if you don't like it, you can cancel it any time, but I know you're going to love it. And you still keep the VIP access, lifetime swipe files, and more for free. So this is what I want you to do. We're going to be doing the VIP Zoom pretty soon after our 2 speakers. So go right now and upgrade. The link is right here, magneticmarketingchallenge.com/start-now. magneticmarketingchallenge.com/start-now, and I'll see you on the Zoom. All right, everybody? So thanks for the great session so far. Right now, I've got a very special treat we're going to bring to the stage. A good friend of mine, and he's going to be working with you for a little bit to help you even hone in on your message even more. Please welcome from Martial Arts Wealth, martialartswealth.com, Mr. Stephen Oliver, everybody. Good morning, Stephen.
Thank you, sir.
How are you doing? Here. Awesome. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming. And first question, how long have you been studying Dan Kennedy? What was your interest to that? Magnetic marketing, and how long have you been around this world?
Oh my goodness! You asked David Phelps that yesterday, and it started me thinking. I have to reference my daughter's birthday. She was 21, and I had been in the Dan Kennedy, the Planet Dan world for at least 5 years before she was born. So, 90s, 94, 95, wow. Something like that, for a long time.
And again, and I've been a long time as well. We wouldn't keep doing this if it didn't work, and that's what you're going to fill them in on. So again, and what I know of you. And you've spoken at my events and doing more. You run brick and mortar, B2C karate schools. You do 2 B2B companies, 1 coaching karate studio owners, 1 coaching now financial advisors.
You bet.
Listen, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Stephen Oliver, everybody.
Hey, well, thank you. A little bit of background. I went to Georgetown University thinking I was going to end up in Wall Street, go to Harvard. Harvard, get an MBA, and instead I opened 6 karate schools in Denver, Colorado, ended up with about 3,500 students when I was 25 years old. And sadly, that was a long time ago, and showing my age, but along the way I discovered Dan, and I've got to tell you, this challenge is so great. I tuned into my mutual friends, David Phelps, Vance Morris, and Marty yesterday, and what a hard act to follow. I mean, I got to tell you, that was great stuff. David and Vance and Marty are really fantastic material. What I can't wait for is Machine Gun Kelly. We have Machine Gun Kelly's an old friend of mine, and we also have Bing Glass and a lot of other great content. Of course, hang on anything that Russell says. He is awesome. But my background is I was in the day-to-day running martial arts schools. I ended up, as I said before, with 6 locations with about 3,000 students when I was in my 20s, and then kept going and kept rolling with that. And eventually what happened is people kept asking me, how are you doing this? What are you doing? How is that happening? And like many of us, like probably most of the speakers, I ended up coaching martial arts schools. But I always wanted to get my MBA, ended up on Wall Street and so forth. And I had a friend who was in the finance business come up and say, hey, can you help me with growing my financial practice? And somehow I ended up in that as well. And when I say that to people, they say, wow, that's such different businesses. You're getting martial arts students and you're getting clients for financial practices. Isn't that completely different? It's like, no, well, what you need to do is you need to market, you need to get somebody to raise their hand, you need to have the right message, you need to get to the right person, and then have a sales system to bring those people in. So it really is the same thing. All of us are in the same thing. I think it was Peter Drucker who said, all businesses are in the business of creating and keeping a client. Now, what I wanted to do is tie into the welcome guest theme of the whole event here. And I was looking at it and thinking about, what does that mean? When Marty first told me the theme is, annoying pest, welcome guest. And, I don't have my backyard's on fire story like Dan does. And I was thinking, what does that mean? How do I frame that in getting martial arts students and getting financial clients and so forth? But then it dawned on me, it's the basic principles that I've internalized. I mean, I've listened to so much of Dan's stuff. I could get up here and do any one of his seminars probably verbatim. This is how much over and over and over, listening in the car and listening on cassettes to date myself, then listening on CDs in the car and listening on MP3s and watching DVDs and all of that stuff. But the first thing that I think, and I kind of boiled it down to 3 factors that I picked up from Dan. One is be the guru. I'll talk about that in a minute. Is you want to be the expert on the top of the mountain, not the person begging for their business. But I'm going to come back to that. The other one is the way I heard Dan talk about it is get inside the conversation that's going on in their mind, or the way Dan phrased it for me the first time was, it's like you're a fly on the wall. The couple has sent the kids to bed and they're having the conversation at the dinner table. And so when they get the, and I love this. I love all you guys on Zoom. I'm actually reading the chat right now. I love Carlton as well. I saw that from Andrew. Some great stuff there. But I'll have to learn how to ignore that for a second. But this is great. But the point was, if your copy, if the message, when they see it, they go, oh my goodness. This guy has our kitchen bugged. He's listening to the conversation going on at our table. How did he know that that's what we were talking about? If you hit that note, you got it right. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples. Years and years ago, when I was running a big martial arts, they ask, what martial arts do you teach? Well, maybe we'll get to that. But back when I was running the martial arts schools directly, hands-on, and I was running a big tournament, a bunch of other stuff, every time I would travel, I would go to a new city and I'd pull out the Yellow Pages. Some of you, do you remember the Yellow Pages? That's back when they printed Google, right? So they, what is now Google? It's kind of like everybody paid to have their little web page. It was called an ad in the Yellow Pages. But I'd go pull out the Yellow Pages, and what I would see is everybody in our industry was just horrible. And they got the message matched completely wrong, because what was their Yellow Pages like? You know what? It was their bio. You pull out the yellow pages, and every martial arts school idiot who's advertising, especially for kids programs, what it would be is, I'm a such and such master in Shore and Rue, and I did this, and I did this, I'm this champion, I'm this champion. And by the way, does any mom in the conversation going on at the kitchen table about their 7-year-old daughter ever say to themselves, we should go find a 7th degree black belt in Shore and Rue to teach our daughter how to be really good at Shore and Rue? Well, no, they don't know what any of that stuff means. Much less do they care, right? But what are they having the conversation at the kitchen table about? Oh my goodness. Susie's having so much trouble adapting to this new school. I'm really worried about her grades. The teacher said she's withdrawn, she's not really engaged and so forth in class. I'm really worried about whether she's going to come out of her shell. What can we do? See, that's the conversation they're having at the kitchen table. It has nothing to do with your bio. And I'll tell you what, I fast forwarded a few years and I started working with financial advisors. And I thought nobody could be worse than martial arts guys at marketing themselves. And you know what I find with financial advice? They're a CFP, they're a CHFC, they're a RICP, and they have all this alphabet soup of initials that nobody knows what it means. And I work in the industry for years now, and I don't care. And they think that somehow that's going to attract clients. Nobody's sitting at the kitchen table going, we got to find a CFP. A CFP is what we need, because that's the thing that we're looking for, is we need a CFP. No. What's the conversation going on at the kitchen table there? Well, I don't know, Marge. You know, I know we're approaching retirement age, but, you know, with the markets and everything going on, I'm just not sure that if I retire, I'm going to be able to stay retired. What if I have to go back to work? What if you have to go back to work? I don't want to outlive our money. We've got to figure that out. I don't know if we have the ability to do that. Somebody's going to see, that's the conversation going on at their table, right? So I figured out a long time ago that I had to get inside the conversation going on in their head. The other thing I figured out about martial arts school owners, and yeah, you're right. Martial arts studio in upstate New York probably is extremely bad at marketing. A whole bunch of them are friends of mine. In fact, I try to help them. Most of them who listen to me are doing great. The other ones, well, you know, that's the way it goes. But what I was going to say on that is, the thing about it is if you hit the right note, that's how you go from annoying pest to welcome guest. Is if mom, and by the way, that's the other thing I was going to say is, most of these school owners are what are they? They're 35, 40, 45 years old. They're an athlete. You know, they love to fight. They've been doing all this stuff for their entire time. Who are they communicating to? Soccer mom of a 7-year-old girl. That's who they should be communicating to if they're in the kids business. Dad's not making the decision. Mom's making the decision. All dad's sitting around doing is vetoing it if he's not engaged in the decision. They need to be targeting mom, picturing a 7-year-old girl, soccer mom. I've said it, you know, the soccer mom in a Range Rover looking for confidence and fitness for her 7-year-old daughter. The Range Rover is optional. I like to be a little higher priced than anybody else. But what you want is to really picture who it is in making the decision. And as Marty was saying, and he stole my thunder on a couple of these things, I've got to say, is if I'm not focused on communicating with mom for the kid, then I miss the boat. And again, martial arts school owners are they're what I was. They're athletes. They're male in most cases. They are maybe really good at the athletic part. They're probably mediocre at teaching, and they're horrible at marketing. And they're trying to tell somebody what they are rather than communicate with them in the language that's already going on in their mind. Does that make sense? This is great. This is great. You guys are really engaged. I love it. Do we have any martial artists out there? How about any financial guys? And we have a few people who are turned into video zombies, just staring at the screen, hoping that I'll ignore their picture there. So I'm familiar with that syndrome as well. But let me give you another example. I apparently now, which, you know, the worst day in the world is when you get the letter from AARP. Have you ever had that? You get, all of a sudden, you open the envelope and you are now eligible to be a part of the American Association of Retired People, or whatever the hell that stands for. You know, that's like, oh my God, how quickly can I shred this damn thing? But I am now in the category that every financial advisor in the world in Denver, Colorado, apparently wants to buy me a steak dinner. Because every day, every other day, it seems like I go to my mailbox and there's a postcard with them offering to buy me a steak dinner. Now, let me ask you a question. If you're a financial advisor, you're a wealth manager, you're a retirement planning specialist, you're gonna help me make sure I don't run out of money run out of money before I run out of life, if that's the right way to say it. Do you really think the conversation going on at the dinner table is, well, Marge, I wonder if there's a finance guy who's willing to buy us a steak dinner tonight? They're not having that conversation. What are they having the conversation of? Oh, I don't know. Did you see that? There's another Ponzi scheme and that crypto thing happened and the markets are going crazy. They're up one day, they're down the next. And where on earth do we put our money to make sure that if I bail out of this career that I hate and you bail out of that career you hate, that we don't have to go back and do it even at a lower rate in 5 or 10 years if we run out of money? Isn't that the conversation they're having? And if I were in front of you with a headline that said, are you worried about staying retired once you retire? Are you worried about outliving your money? Do you want to make sure that you're not affected by the markets, the tumult, all the stuff going on, the war, the presidencies? Do you want to make sure that you're going to be able to sleep at night and know? See, isn't that the conversation that's going on in their mind? Wouldn't you want to know and get inside that conversation rather than these other conversations? See, I think if you want to go from being annoying pests to welcome guests, you've got to get inside the conversation they're already going on, because that's a welcome conversation. Not try to bully your way in with your qualifications and who you are and what your bio is and so forth. And now, the second thing I wanted to hit on this, and this, I mean, God, I had a hard time figuring out where to start of all the stuff that I've learned from Dan, and of course from Russell and Darcy's over here, and my friends Marty and so forth. But if I boil it down, there's a second thing, and it's a lesson I learned when I was 20 years old, but I didn't understand it until Dan explained it. And it's be the guru. And see, go back to the financial guys. You watch the movies and what are they doing? They're cold calling, dialing for dollars, making outbound calls. And one of the big companies, I swear to God, I'm not making this up, Bank of America shifted from you're doing cold calls to cold LinkedIn as your best source of going and getting new clients. Well, I got to tell you what, if you want to be the guru, you got to act like the guru. The guru sits at the top of the mountain, is inaccessible. They're not at your door with their foot in the door, banging on, telling you how qualified they are. The second thing about it is you've got a system in place where you should only be talking to people who want to talk to you and only be talking to people who are already excited and interested, and a system in place where you're getting people to come to you, again, to use the right word, magnetically, that are already your right customer and the right person. So I want to give you a story about my instructor. He was a gentleman by the name of Junri, and he was the first person in the United States to teach Taekwondo. Somebody asked about style. He was the father of American Taekwondo. And while I was at Georgetown University, one story I remember is Ronald Reagan was in office. And Ronald Reagan is running for re-election, and he had a problem. He was old. At least back then, everybody thought he was old. And that was an issue in the election. And so we were sitting around brainstorming about how do we get Ronald Reagan in a martial arts uniform. We get him breaking a board. We get him doing all kinds of stuff. We get them showing how vibrant and alive and active he was. And so Junri is actively plotting through all the different people he knew attached to that office. How do we get Ronald Reagan to have a patch on his uniform with our school name, with him as the instructor, showing on national TV how vibrant and engaged he was? Well, I thought it was a great idea. His advisors thought, well, he already has too much of a warlike image. We can't have him doing punching and kicking and so forth. So they vetoed the idea. But June Rhee was always that bright on figuring out how to get in front of things. And many years before, he's a broke migrant from South Korea, is coming out of the Army, has moved to Washington, D.C., he has this little martial arts school, and he reads in the paper one day that this congressman was mugged. And so he reaches out to the congressman's office and offers to teach him Taekwondo. Well, the congressman was no dummy, and he saw, rather than just being the victim of crime, he can now be, Washington Post is going to do an article with him in a uniform and one thing or another. Well, June Rhee leveraged that into being the official instructor for Congress. Now, what better place to be than a room full of publicity-hungry people teaching them? He ended up teaching Newt Gingrich and George H.W. Bush and Joe Biden and a whole bunch of other people you'd recognize. But then what did he do? He has a tournament, and he has the Republicans versus the Democrats. And he puts one side in blue pads and uniform, the other side in blue or in red uniform and red pads, and calls all the press and one thing or another. And he ended up with USA Today, USA Today covered it on the front page, but he ended up with CNN worldwide, every 30 minutes, headline news for 24 hours in every country that they broadcast in. Another thing that he did is he figured out pretty quickly that, well, he wants to be a celebrity, but he also wants to affiliate with celebrities. So he ends up getting himself, worked his way in, and he gets an award by a Touchdown Club presented by Bob Hope. This video is online. I was going to show you, but it just wasn't very high quality. And so what he does is he's getting an award, Muhammad Ali's getting an award, Will Chambers is getting an award, several other people are getting an award. He comes up, humbly accepts his award, one thing or another. Then he takes his suit coat off and he says, I just want to prove once and for all who's the greatest. Muhammad, you're up first. Will, you wait a second, I'll get to you next. And this is, of course, with Bob Hope there. And so he's challenging Muhammad Ali and challenging Will Chamberlain to fight. And by the way, June Rhee was about 5'6", nothing, about this big. He ended up teaching Muhammad Ali and ended up with publicity all over the world. He took Muhammad Ali to Korea. Ali attributed one of his wins to what he learned from June Rhee, et cetera. But talk about publicity. And so over the years, he ended up chasing down Tony Robbins and helping Tony Robbins get his black belt in record time and getting publicity from that. He taught, again, like I say, congressmen, senators, governors, just a whole range of things. But if you want to be the guru, it helps to be a celebrity to your niche. It helps to associate with celebrities. And then it helps to be seen as the place where those people go to get their advice for whatever it is you do. So again, Marty, we were talking on the site, and Marty, I have to apologize. I'm the kid who dropped out of guitar lessons for martial arts, and I don't think I was going to become Eddie Van Halen. But if Marty is seen with, who was it you jammed with recently, Metallica or something?
Kirk Hammett, yeah.
I mean, you're running a music school and you got pictures of you jamming with Metallica. Okay, well that helps, right, Marty? That is the thing you want to do. But I just wanted to cover those two things. The message has to be get inside the conversation going on in their mind and make sure you're targeting the decision maker, not the wrong person. The second thing that you want to make sure you do is you become the guru. And the more inaccessible you are, the more you can set yourself up, become a celebrity, be associated with celebrity, be perceived as difficult to get to, the more you're going to put yourself on that pedestal and the more you're going to rise to that occasion. And by the way, Marty, I could go on for another hour and a half, but I know you're going to cut me off, so I don't want you to turn the mic off on me. So this has been so much fun. I know we're coming back for Q&A. So then I actually get to read the stuff and we get to talk to them about it, right?
That's right.
I love it.
All right, everybody, thank you very much.
Thank you so
Stephen
much.
Oliver, everybody. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, guys, we've got another great guest coming up for you, so please welcome to the stage. She's a chiropractor. She also has a wellness practice, does a lot of great stuff. She's going to tell you all about it in her presentation and help you with your message. So please welcome, everybody, Dr. Bonnie Jewell. Welcome, Doctor.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good.
Morning.
Thank you.
So, question for you, Dr. Jewell. How long have you been aware of Dan Kennedy? When did you enter Dan Kennedy's world, Magnetic Marketing? Approximately what year was that? And also, I love the white coat. Can you tell me more about that?
Absolutely. So I have been in this world for only 2 years. Okay. So I'm fairly new at it. Okay. And the white coat is a tip that I picked up from Dan.
Awesome.
So he said, everybody's looking for authority and status symbols.
Right.
As a chiropractor, a lot of times we learned you don't need the white coat.
Right.
But I'm looking for that being the guru at the top, right? And so I started wearing I got a nice white coat, I got my name on it, and people started responding to me differently.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, I can't wait. So I'm going to give you
Great,
this.
thank you.
Let's dive in.
Okay. So, all right. So prior to magnetic marketing, I always had a business coach. So I knew that because I was raised in the non-business world, I was a university kid, I didn't really know anything about business. And so my statistics were always kind of average. So I'm in the chiropractic industry doing what the chiropractic marketing is, and I ended up being tired, burnt out, overworked, frustrated, I was annoyed, I'm an introvert, and there I am hustling and going to all these events and talking to people. I'm having a lot of intake sessions with people who just were not right for my practice, and I found that absolutely exhausting. And so I thought, well, in order to do better in business, I'm going to become a better practitioner, I'm going to learn more, I'm going to be so much better at what I'm doing. But 5 degrees later, I still wasn't making any more money. And so I started taking insurance. I didn't really want to take insurance because there's a lot of work to do in that. And being interested in wellness, I also saw that the insurance doesn't pay for me to help people go as far with their health as I wanted to go. So I didn't really want to take insurance, but I did. So prior to finding magnetic marketing, I put an ad in the paper. I'm like, well, I'm just going to put an ad in the paper because I've done all the shows and all the marketing I was told to do. So I put an ad in the paper, which I'll show you later. And I got 0 calls on it. My family thought it was great. My friends thought it was great, but no calls. So I ended up just being straight up exhausted. There's a picture of me overworked and exhausted. So my customers, they were pretty much price driven. They were referral based, which was really good because I didn't do too much advertising. Then the pool is shrinking where I live. So there's a lot of people who are moving into different areas, and everyone seemed to want a magic pill. So I was beginning to resent some of the people who were coming into my practice. Now, I do have wonderful patients, many who I just adore them, but it was the constant having people come into the office who just were not the right people for my practice that I found to be exhausting. So I started listening to podcasts and what are other smart, successful people doing? Who are they getting advice from? So I'm seeing people who are at the top, like the other speakers that you see here this week. So they're at the top of their game. And who are they getting advice from, right? All roads lead to Dan Kennedy. So then I thought, well, okay, who is this guy? I need to find out about him. And so I ended up in magnetic marketing. And I will tell you how this has changed my life so far. So that's coming up. So enter magnetic marketing. And then we look at, well, what was my most important breakthrough? And that is why I am here today, is looking at who is my ideal customer. So my ideal customer, I thought, was who needs chiropractic services? Who needs to be adjusted? It's somebody who's in pain, they have low back pain, they live in my community. But it's actually different, and that's what you're being guided on this week. So it's AKA, who do I love to work with? Who's a person that I just adore working with? That when they come into my office, I'm so excited to see them. I can't wait to see them. I love thinking about them. It's just giving my life so much more happiness and joy. And I do believe that as a natural health practitioner, that there's somebody for all of us, and we're not meant to serve everybody. So who's the perfect one for me? And I have that person here. So this is Kristen, and I actually took this picture last week. And she was in the office, and I asked her, well, I'll tell you a little bit about her. She's a busy professional. She's a conservative Christian woman. She has 3 kids. She drives an SUV. And so that was the funny part. She was in the office, and I said, well, I'm looking for a picture for this presentation I'm giving next week. You're not driving an SUV by chance, are you?" And sure enough, she was driving an SUV. So I said, let's go outside and take a picture. She doesn't trust the medical system. She trusts God. She's strong-minded. She's a patriot. And she prays before making a decision. So I dug down deep and I found out, like, this is my perfect person that I love to work with. So one of the breakthroughs I had was using their language versus trying to be neutral and inoffensive. So prior to magnetic marketing, I was trying to be somebody for everybody. And as I know now, the riches are in the niches, and everything that you're learning this week will help you get to this point. So trying not to be offensive. So here's what I can say to people now. We help you get healthy and stay healthy naturally on the foundations of biblical principles. So that speaks to a lot of people, and I will actually say this to people, and they'll say, "Oh, yes, please, I want to work with you." So just a little example of my advertising that I tried in the past. Well, it was actually, I tried it one time, and then it was such a fail that I stopped right there. So with this advertisement, you can see my logo is on there. It's really big. What I've learned since is nobody cares what my logo is. Doesn't do anything for anybody except make your family and friends really excited to see your stuff out there. It says what I do: chiropractic care, corrective exercises, lifestyle advice, nutritional counseling, massage therapy, spinal and postural screenings. Blah. Who cares? Nobody really cares about that. And then it has my address, my phone number, my name. So it was pretty much all wrong, but I didn't know it at the time, except that I didn't get any phone calls on it. So then I joined magnetic marketing and was able to have some feedback sessions and work on what my copy was going to be. So I wrote this copy to bring to a feedback session, and what it says is how to escape the medical merry-go-round, restore your child's health, and have certainty with their health. So it's still a little bit blah, but it's speaking a little bit more to what my ideal client's concern is. And then it was featured in the No BS newsletter, so that was really exciting because the rewrite that we did ended up being really good. So how to ensure that your child is never controlled by the medical system. So that goes back to who my ideal client is, who doesn't trust the medical system. And so that's there in the headline there. Now, the result from that was that at the event, somebody walked up to me at the event where I had this advertisement. Somebody actually looked at that advertisement and walked up to me and said, "I definitely want to work with you." And at the time, I had just raised my prices because I'm learning that I was undercharging. And she handed me a $2,000 check the next week, which was almost 2 times my price. So that was very exciting. And since then, I went from $248 for an initial consultation with me to $1,000 for an initial consultation with me. So that was a big change for me. And I think it took a lot of work. It took reading the newsletter. So that newsletter comes out, and I knew that for myself, I had to do a really big mental shift to go from where I was to where I needed to be to have the results I wanted to have. And one of those results is to make a difference with people's health. And in order to do that, I would have to just very much change my mindset. So when I came into this, I did think that you don't understand. My business is different. There's a way we do things in chiropractic. There's a way we do things in this industry. And that included a lot of, if you go to a chiropractor's office, you might see that they have a toy drive every year. They get coats for people. They might give a flower out every Valentine's Day. So there's some pretty standard marketing techniques that are used. Most of those I found out do lead back to Dan also, but now a lot of chiropractors are doing them. So I had to really get out of my thinking that we do things differently. And when I started doing things more the magnetic marketing way, things started getting a lot better for me. I will say that all the knowledge in the world about what Dan does doesn't do anything. So when you get the newsletter, you're going to get so much information. All the people that are speaking who are here are experts in their fields at implementing magnetic marketing, and you're going to gain a lot of knowledge from that. I found that if I took something from the newsletter and implemented it every month, things started moving forward for me. So it's like, it could be drinking from the fire hose of knowledge where you just drown, but don't do that. You just implement a little bit what you learn every month, and things start happening. Like, I will share what's happened for me the past 2 years has been so amazing. Implementing with feedback. So you can actually get feedback. I'm in the Diamond membership, so I was able to talk to Dan directly and get feedback, which changed the trajectory of where I thought I needed to go. And I could not get this direct kind of feedback anywhere. So in my world, everybody's doing things the way everybody else is doing them. They're getting the same results as everybody else is getting them. And so I really wanted something different. I wanted to have the extraordinary results, the out-of-the-box results. And who can I talk to get that advice from? Well, I knew I could listen to podcasts, I could read books, but when you enter the magnetic marketing community, you can actually interact with people and get answers from people and even get the chance to talk to Dan directly. So it's an opportunity that is just phenomenal. So the thing that I found for myself is that I have been making more money, I've had more free time, and I'm having more fun. So it's been 2 short years that I've been with them. And I will say, I still feel like when I have been taking so many notes, listening to everybody, because there's so much more for me to implement. And, but 2 short years later, Darcy asked me to talk on this. And I was like, oh, I haven't really done anything. And then just doing a little bit every month, I was writing out what I've accomplished in the past 2 years, and my mind is literally blown. So I now have 3 offices. I had 1 office, in a small town in southern Illinois. I now have an office in an affluent St. Louis suburb, the original one in the rural area where I'm at, and an other one in an even more rural area. And I don't actually have anything to do with that office. I have published 5 books to establish my expertise and become the guru. I have 2 more that are coming out very soon. They're in the final stages of publication. I have created myself as a category of 1 with quantum response testing. I've quadrupled my prices and have people jumping through hoops to work with me. And also, if somebody isn't willing to jump through the hoops, I don't have to deal with that exhausting conversation that I used to have to deal with, where I figured out, oh, you're not the right person for me. And like I said before, I'm an introvert, and those kinds of conversations are just so exhausting for me. It's now a $30,000 commitment to work with me over 3 months, when it was $1,400 for the year. I have plugged the holes in my business. I am making more and seeing less people. And the people that I am working with, I'm able to help them more because I have more energy, and I'm just not as exhausted as I was. In my first year with magnetic marketing, I increased my income by almost 70%. So my trajectory had been kind of flatlined a little bit, and it went straight up. I am training others to replace myself and able to do so outside of the medical paradigm. So the conversation I had with Dan had me switch things up a little bit. So now I'm able to go outside the medical paradigm. This actually saves me a lot of money, and it makes it so I'm able to duplicate what I do with more people. I bought my first Mercedes, and that was only just a couple weeks ago. It was a birthday present to myself. And then I love where my business is headed, and I'm really excited about it. So I didn't realize that I could ever be this excited about business. So a couple of things that I do for my business. So I have a monthly newsletter. That is the very first thing that I implemented. And there's a company that a lot of people work with magnetic marketing who will help you do the newsletter quicker and faster. So I spend about an hour, 1 to 2 hours of it every month myself. And that's one thing. In this community, you get access to all these resources, and people have already cut through all the time wasting of figuring out what to do. And so you're like, well, what works? And then you find out what works. You find out what works, not what might work, and then you test it out, and then you fail. You find out what works. So I was introduced to this company, and they've been helping me with my newsletter. Here is a picture of my books. So in the very back is What You Need to Know, Low Back Pain. So that was the first book that I published. And then The Science of Being Well, that is one that I wrote the foreword to. I got that idea for that watching one of Russell's videos. I just did the foreword on it and then reprinted that. I am one of many authors in holistic mental health and became a #1 best-selling author on Amazon through that. The next book that came out was Vim and Vigor, Escape the Medical Merry-Go-Round, Reclaim Your Health, and Live a Long and Healthy Life. That is one that came out, and I also wrote 3-ingredient recipes to go with that book. And then the 2 that are coming out soon are the Intuition, Faith, and Freedom, and Visualization to Manifestation. So, and then I had to include the picture of me in my Mercedes because I always wanted one, and guess what? I finally got to have one, so there you go.
Just amazing.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well done. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, listen, there was a lot of stuff in there, and it's just very impressive what you've done. I think if you would agree, you're checking a lot of the boxes of you embraced it, you were convinced it could work for you, you went all in, and look at all the stuff you've done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it would be nice as we wrap, and I've got an announcement, and then we're going to go to the Zoom, which one of the big things you said is the importance of feedback. So that's why it's so important today, guys. Listen, you got us for free. You got me, you got Dr. Jewel, you got Stephen Oliver, going to be with you for 1 hour giving them feedback. And it's so crucial if they've never done that, or even they did yesterday, they know how great it is.
Yeah.
But I'd love to know in the very brief time we have, so some of them on the Zoom or the chat today are saying, okay, well, cool, I'm hearing all this stuff, I need to make my message, but any advice for somebody that's really trying to make their first message on how you were able to really do that? Any basics that help them bridge on going from the blank page and just, my advice would be start typing. No matter how bad they think it is, just start going. But was there anything that helped you to get the first one out?
Yeah, so I like to go for walks, and what I did was I just walked for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and all I thought about was, who do I love to work with? Who do I love to work with? Yeah. Just find my who. Like, who do I love to work with? And then, like everybody has said, once you find that, it's so much easier to do the marketing. Yeah. So, like, there's a Christian women's retreat. And I'm like, oh, I know I need to be at that. Right?
Absolutely.
So otherwise I'd be like, which natural health thing should I go to? Where should I put my stuff?
Well, you know what's so cool about what you just said is behind it. We didn't plan this, so we're just going off the cuff here with some talk Q&A. But she just laid out for you guys the annoying pest to welcome guests. Because when you go to the Christian retreat, okay, let's look at this backwards. We talked about this yesterday.
Okay.
The person that's not going to do well at the retreat is the one going around trying to give cards to everybody, passing books. That's the pest. But when you show up now, especially with 5 books, all the stuff you're doing, you're a Raven fan. I forget the woman's name. It was Kristen, and especially if she's there, and they're having lunch at the retreat, they're saying, well, you got to go talk to Jewel, and where is she? And then they come to CQ. You've now become the welcome guest, knowing pest. I think that's so cool. And again, I love what you said, that as we've said, you identified your who, it all got easier, and then you start going to messages too. And that's the big thing. I think it's also important, I would imagine, like me, so we have multiple messages. After you get your first one done, you start making one more. So there's a message for guitar, there's a guitar page, there's a message for pen. I would imagine you have different messages for Cairo, different messages for wellness, different messages for visualization. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
it's they're all a little bit different.
Well, yeah.
And then they overlap.
Yes.
But it's all very targeted to the one person. And I'm still fine-tuning it. As I get to one, and then I'm like, okay, so that one's really good, and then I'll focus on the other one. So and that's the other thing I love about this, is you never really fully, like, you get great results, like I've obviously gotten, but it's always, how can I refine this a little bit more? What else can I do? And then it's always back, every newsletter, I learn more, I read something again, and it's, I see it differently because I know more.
Right. And that's
now
why
than
you
a
see,
year ago.
and if you agree, Dr. Jewel, I think that's why you see so many people that have been around here so long. It's because it only gets better.
Yeah.
It only gets easier. It only gets more fun. And congratulations on Mercedes.
Thank you.
Sweet
I
ride, all right?
appreciate that.
So guys, give it up for Dr. Bonnie Jewel, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank
Well
you.
done. Okay, we'll see you in a little bit soon. Okay, thank you. All right, guys, I got a serious announcement. Check me out, okay? The live Q&A with myself, Stephen Oliver, Dr. Jewel is going to start in 15 minutes. 15 minutes, we'll do a short break, grab a drink at the bathroom, whatever you need to do, but you want to be here for an hour to get your feedback, get your coaching, and remember the coaching is free. And again, I want to clarify how that works and how that means it's free, okay? What that means is that normally VIP is $197, okay? But today you're going to get VIP access to the special Zoom. It's only for VIPs. We're going to go through questions. It's going to be amazing. You're going to get other people get the questions done. And this is the most valuable VIP benefit. We get comments all the time about how much people love that. Another big one, we've gone through so much content, you're going to want the lifetime replays of the challenge. And that's a very important part of being on VIP. So you can go back, take notes, listen to stuff again. And again, don't forget what we call the Mifky, this big, beautiful box with all this great stuff in it. And I'm going to put this all together for you. Again, you got to have this, the essential for free, Dan Kennedy's Magnetic Marketing book, okay? You're going to get for free included the 74 funnel swipe file book, which is just awesome. And as you heard Dr. Jewel say, you're going to get the newsletter for 30 days and a lot of other stuff too. You're also going to get some courses to bonus that. And that's going to be 3 things: the Renegade Time Management, the Midas Touch Marketing and Selling, and again, one of the things that's done so much for me, the Brass Balls Factor course, which is awesome. Once again, the newsletter, and again, so this normally works is, it's $197, but today, starting now in 13 minutes, you can get it for free. You can get it right now. We'll get it right now for free, and we'll give you the link, but we'll see you on the Zoom, the Zoom in 13 minutes. Because I want you to get it free. You got 2 options. You can go down now, pay $197, and get all the stuff. However, we will give it to you for free right now. Just go to the link, you get everything in the package, everything, and what will happen is you're going to subscribe to the newsletter, and it will keep coming to you for $97 a month. You'll get the newsletter, it'll keep coming, build $97 per month. But if you don't like it, you can cancel at any time. You still keep your VIP access, the lifetime swap files, and more free. So go right now so we can see you in a few minutes, okay? magneticmarketingchallenge.com/start-now. Go right now, magneticmarketingchallenge.com/start-now. We'll see you on the Zoom, everybody.